Hello beautiful friends, and thank you for joining me here today. I'm Aleckson. I am the soul speaker, giving a voice to the power within to help you to become the fully empowered creator of your reality so you can live a highly conscious life moving forward as we evolve into a more feminine energy. How beautiful is that? How beautiful is this evolution that we're going through? But I digress. We're here for a very specific reason today, and I want to talk to you about that. Yesterday, I shared a post on Facebook about my manifesting process. Well, not so much my manifesting process, but I shared a post where I talked about the results that I was getting from using my manifesting book. This is it, by the way. Nice and simple. There's nothing fancy about it. And I shared how the previous day I'd written in my manifesting book how I wanted to start focusing more on my speaking career and wanting to attract more opportunities to speak to everybody and anybody, of course, but to my ideal client or person who might be interested in what I do and what I speak about. So essentially, looking for more speaking engagements, and how within 24 to 48 hours, I'd already received 4 speaking engagements. And so that created a lot of comments from people saying, how do I do that? What's a manifesting book? What does it include? What's in it? What's the process that you use? And all of these wonderful things. So I specifically wanted to share with you today exactly what I do, and talk to you a little bit about some of the things that are happening with manifestation at the moment. As you might know, or if you don't, I'm a direct voice channel and I speak with my guides. I spend my day in conversation with my guides, and therefore also with some of your guides and your soul, and we converse about what we can speak about in order to serve you. And what I've been hearing lately about manifestation, there's a couple of things. First and foremost is that right now, in this energy that we're in right now, is an amazing manifesting time. That was why it was so simple for me to, within 2 days, receive 4 speaking engagement invitations. So if you're going to do this, do it now. Fabulous, fabulous energy. There's this swirling vortex, whirlwindy thing, which is really, really, really stirring things up and making us shift into who we want to be, to shift into the lives we want to be living. So tap into that. Now, the other thing that has been coming through very loud and clear with work when I'm working with my clients is that the writing of your desires, the writing down of the things that you wish to manifest, is more important now than ever. And the thing with that is, when you write something down on a piece of paper, you commit to it. You commit it to paper and pen, and you commit to it as part of your life. And that makes a lot of difference, because I don't know if you're like me, but I suspect you probably are a little bit, if not completely, like me. I have a habit of stating what I'd like to create. I'd like this new car. Oh, look at that car over there. I just love that car. I want one of those. And then in the next moment, I have a thought of, but if I don't get it, I'll still be okay. Now, I think this has come from, and it might be the case with you as well, I think it's come from this desire to also understand that I'm enough. To understand that that everything is perfect in the universe, and therefore if I get what I want, then that's perfect, and if I don't, then that's perfect as well. So we have to be very, very careful to be balanced in our wanting and also our desire to not want. I hope that makes sense to you somewhat. But what I've found about myself and what I've learned about myself is that quite often, if I don't commit it to paper, instead I just think it or I speak it, I don't fully commit to it, and it's very easy for me to turn around and say, I'd like that or I want that, but if I don't get it, I'll still be okay. Because, you know, I've been doing lots of healing and spiritual work, and I know that we're all one, and I know that everything's perfect, and I know that life is not happening to me, it's happening for me. So some of those things can get in the way of our humanness and our desire to grow, to have more, to be more, to do more. So we have to balance that. So let me talk to you about my manifesting book. I call it that. The other thing about manifesting that's very important is that it has to be, you have to be willing to allow it to evolve and to allow yourself to make changes to it. In other words, it's not a static book. It's a moving book. It goes along with you. The importance of that is this. Now, in my book, I have a couple of different sections that I'm working on. One of them is my business. So when I started this book, I wrote down all the things I wanted to start manifesting in my business. And then 2 days ago, when I really tapped into my desire to, and my enoughness to step into my speaking career, I opened the book up and I added that to the business section. Because it's not about, on the 1st of January, deciding what you want to manifest in your life and then writing it all down or putting it on a vision board and then never touching it again. Because life doesn't work that way, does it? We evolve. We see a new car that we think is sexier than the last car that we wanted so much. And we don't think to change it on our vision board, or don't think to come into our manifesting book and make the changes. But it's really important that we start to do that, because we're self and spirit. We're human being and soul, and we're working together with all of those parts coming together. That's what our evolution is now about. So, ta-da! This is my manifestation book. I just buy this at the local Kmart or any of the stationery stores, and it's got 5 sections in it. Now you can buy 2 if you need 2, but I only needed 1 this year. So far, it might change. So there's separated sections, and then what I do is I decide what sections of my life, what areas of my life I want to work on this year. I've got business, I've got car, I'm manifesting a new car. I'm manifesting a holiday this year, a larger holiday than I've been having. I'm manifesting a new living space, a new home, and I also have a section for myself and my children so that I can work on and make some decisions around what I want to manifest for all of us, and certainly for my self-care. Very important. Now, on the 1st of January, I always have this book ready. But another important key is that you don't actually start writing in it until you feel the call to do so, until you feel a pull from it. It's ready then, you see. Don't force yourself to sit down and decide what you want if you're not feeling that you want to do it. Now, this is different than procrastination, but you'll start to feel a pull towards it. You'll have an inspiration and you'll think, oh, gee, I'd like to have that in my life this year. That's the time to come and do it, you see. And not to do it all in one go, but to do it as you feel to. It was only last week that I actually sat down and started writing and expressing my desire for this new car. Because until last week, I actually didn't believe that I was able to have the particular car that I want. Believe me, it's a beauty. And if you haven't heard my little story about the moment that I saw the sexiest car I've ever seen before and I got a hard-on for it, believe me, it's an amazing car. And so I only wrote that down last week because I finally started to believe that I was able to have it, that I was able to create it. In other words, that I was enough and that I was worthy of having it. And so that was only last week. I've had this book since the beginning of the year, and it was only last week that I wrote down about my car. On the 1st of the month, I did write about my business because that's my number one focus at the moment, most of the time, because I am so tapped into or passionate about being of service in the way that I am as a direct voice channel and as a mentor and as whatever else is unfolding, because it's always, again, it's a moving target. It's never static. We're always evolving and changing. So I've got my little sections, and then there's very specific way that I do this. And every year, again, it's something that's very static and I change it. And this year I took some wording from a beautiful, beautiful friend of mine, David Laws. I know that some of you will know him. So he shared his process, which was so very similar to mine, but I liked the wording that he was using. So I took some of that for mine as well. So I'm going to share that with you because I think the wording is brilliant and very key to the ability to manifest what you desire. So then I just open up and I wrote the date on it. I don't think it's necessary. Some people do, some people don't. I have on this one, but not on other ones. And I've called it My Amazing Business, right here. Right here. My Amazing Business. I'm not going to read it to you about my business, but there are certain parts of it that I'd like to share with you. I've actually got it written out without having to hold this big fat book up. And this was with regards, this is actually from David's example that he gave out at the beginning of this year when he was sharing his process. So you head it, my beautiful new, and whatever it is that you desire. So my beautiful new BMW Z4, my beautiful new Toyota Corolla, whatever it is for you. Let's play with the car thing here. And then you write, Dear Divine Source, I am so incredibly happy to have taken delivery of my beautiful new BMW Z4. It feels so magical to take delivery of a brand new car. Thank you. So all we've done there is state exactly what it is that we want by name and express our appreciation and gratitude. So important. We're expressing all the gratitude for it before we talk about how we want it to show up. I'm so incredibly grateful for this lovely car. And then we start to list all about it. So we say it is fully paid for by divine and perfect ways under grace. Now that's David's wording. And I think it's lovely. So I've chosen to take that as well. It's fitted with every option available. It is racing car green or whatever colour it is that you want. And you just start to list all of the things that it is and that it has. And you must include that it's paid for in full by divine grace. Divine and perfect ways under grace is the wording that David uses. And you also want to make a statement about every person that enters this car is protected from any harm at all times. You want to also say that the car or the home or whatever is trouble-free. And then you want to end, after you've listed every single thing about it, you could even say what it smells like in the car, that beautiful new car smell, the colour of it, the colour of the interior, all the options that you want to have. And then you want to end with, I give grateful thanks that the universe is my supply. And I am now linked with endless streams of steady, ready money under grace in perfect ways. Again, that's David's wording, but I loved it, so I took it on board. It's similar but not the same as the wording that I've always used in my books in previous years. So that's it essentially. And you write it down and then you put your book away until the next time you feel pulled towards it. Now, I'm going to assume that we're all aware that we're energy beings and we're all in touch with our intuition and our feelings and our body messages, because the pull to do this at the right time, you'll feel it in your gut. I can actually feel it right now because there's something that I want to add to my manifestation book. And so as I'm standing here and my book, which is just down here in front of me, I can actually feel this almost magnetic pull towards the book, because there's some stuff that I want to add to it about the home that I'm going to create and some of the things that are going to be contained in that home. Now, I don't put where that home is because I actually am very open to that. I have no ties, essentially, and my son's happy to leave where he's at school and move around and travel and all of these sorts of things. We've been speaking about America recently, funnily enough. So I don't put where that home would be, but you may choose to do that. And I think really that's all that I wanted to share with you. I wanted to just tell you how I do this process, encourage you to do it, but always do it in a way that feels right for you. But most importantly, don't force yourself to sit down today and do it just because I said so, or just because I said that this is the way to do it, or any of those sorts of things. You've got to find your own balance in this. You've got to be ready to sit down and write about it and commit to it, because until you're ready to commit to it, you're not going to be able to manifest it at the speed which you can manifest it. And this is the key with what happened for me yesterday with the speaking. I didn't write about that until I really felt this magnetic pull from this manifesting book of mine, because it's energy and I'm energy, and we were ready to get together again. We were a match. And so as soon as I write that down, literally within an hour, I had someone sending me an email about a speaking opportunity. It wasn't my speaking opportunity at that point, but it is now, because I responded to it. And within those next 2 days, 4 in total opportunities showed up for me. So do it when you're ready and when you feel that it is the optimum manifesting time for you. So check into your body, check into your intuition, and always do what feels good to you. I will share with you what works for me, but I will never say to you, you must do it this way. Because we're each individual. Yes, we're all one soul and we're all one, but we are also all uniquely, incredibly different. So you get to choose the way that you do it, whatever works for you, whatever feels good for you. Now, just on one last point, what I'd like to say is that often what happens when you start committing to the things that you want to manifest, you will start to see evidence of it showing up. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll give you a very real example. One of those speaking opportunities that came to me, I got very excited about it because it was one of the 4, and it was like, oh, this is just starting to open up beautifully. However, I did speak to the woman this morning, and we were having a discussion, and she was really into what I was wanting to talk about, and she was expressing that I was saying things in a different way than anyone had said them to her before. So it was going to be something unique. And then she asked me one question, and that question totally disqualified me from being part of the Tele-Summit. I'll tell you what the question is in a minute. And so I got off the phone with her, feeling a little disappointed, but at the same time understanding that this was simply evidence for me that I'm opening up to these opportunities. This particular one, there's still 3 there, so I still created 3 opportunities in the last 2 days to speak since I wrote that down in my book. But one of them has turned out to be simply evidence, and that's okay as well, because what it shows me is that if I start seeing these opportunities in front of me and being willing to jump on them and reply and get on the phone with someone and have a conversation about it, then I'm showing my commitment, I'm showing my willingness to do what has to be done in order to step into this speaking career that I'm creating. So it's evidence. It's the same with the BMW Z4 that I wish to manifest. When I started writing it down last week, I felt the pull to write it down, and the reason that I was feeling that pull was because pretty much everywhere I go at the moment, I don't know what's going on, but everywhere I go, I see a blue BMW Z4, and I see a silver BMW Z4. And even my son, who was out with his father on the weekend, came home and reported to me that he saw 2 as well. So I can feel it coming closer and closer and closer and closer. And that's the moment for me to really commit and write it down so that I can then say, yes, you over there, come over here. Stop being out there as evidence and come to me. So I wanted to be very clear about that. You'll start to see evidence of things. It'll be close, but not quite there. And that's just evidence. And you should pat yourself on the back when you see that and say, oh, I'm doing the right thing. It's coming to me. I can feel it. I can see it. There it is there. It belongs to someone else. But it's evidence that I'm really open to seeing it and how it's going to show up for me. So let me tell you, just as a end to this very long video, I apologise for keeping you for so long. The one question that this woman asked, and I'm only saying this because, as you would know, being someone who I communicate with or I'm in connection with, I'm very much about the rising of the feminine energy in the world so that we can come back to love, we can come back to peace, we can come back to compassion, we can come back to right brain thinking and not being overridden by left brain as we have been and the very masculine way of being. And this is the evolution that we're going through. So I talk about our evolution. And I am really in the energy right now of doing things differently than we've ever done them before. Doing it differently than we've ever done it before. This is what we're all about. This is what it is all about, this evolution. Tapping into our feminine energy, allowing our spiritual gifts to awaken within us, and then looking around at the world and deciding, what do I want to give and what do I want to receive and what am I going to do in return for that and how am I going to do this so that it comes from the feminine, right brain, evolved energy. And so the question that was asked of me was this: how many people do you have on your mailing list? And I'm very proud of the fact that I have a certain number of people on my mailing list because they're incredibly responsive. My response rates are like 80% for my emails, which is just unheard of, right? And all of my Facebook friends, and it's all very responsive because I'm involved and interested. However, the number that I stated was not nearly the figure that this woman believed she needed to have for the people that she was interviewing. So she said, oh, well, I want 5,000. The people that I interview have to have a list of 5,000 in order for me to promote them. And of course I immediately recognised that as being totally old way of being. It's an old way of being. It's not about that anymore. And I know you guys know it. It's about community. It's about connection. It's about serving without expectation, but also knowing that you will receive in equal, if not many times more, proportion. So we weren't really a match for each other, and that was my evidence, and I just wanted to share that story with you because I think that's also going to help some of you in the group who are currently trying to figure out how to market, how to do your businesses. And I want to say to you, and I'll hold space for you in every moment, that you are strong enough, that you are willing enough to do it your way and not the way that it's been done for decades or even centuries or even lifetimes, because we're done with those things. And I know you know that, and I want to encourage you to just keep fighting for what you know when it comes to marketing, when it comes to doing your business, when it comes to all of those things that have been done a certain way. And you know, and I know, and we all know that it's changing. Let's lead that change. Let's stand for right brain, feminine, new ways of being that aren't the old left brain, masculine ways of being, particularly around marketing. Rant over. I hope you've enjoyed the little lesson on my manifesting book. I've enjoyed giving it to you, and the little rant at the end, take it or leave it, it's up to you. I just wanted to share that with you. And I'd love to hear down below, of course, any feedback, any comments that you've got, any questions that you've got. I'll be available to answer those throughout the next couple of days. So yeah, please share. And look, I have to say, I am incredibly blessed that you are part of the Mind Your Own Vibration group, community, family. I want to call it a family. I had no idea what I was creating when it came through, and I, again, simply followed my intuition, and it has become far greater than I wished it to be, far greater than I imagined it to be, and that's because of you, so thank you. I really appreciate you being there, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.